It is not built on aid or assistance, but it is built on mutually beneficial partnerships. And it is not built on extraction. It is not built on extraction, but it is built on investments that benefit everyone. And so, we need to recalibrate the discussion that we are having. And we need to look at what are the opportunities that are there for us. We've had challenges of development in our continent that is premised on, challenges of access to development resources that are concessional, very heightened interest rates for capital that is required for our progress, and of course, on sovereign risk that sometimes does not represent the reality on the ground. And the longer this goes on, the longer everybody loses. And that is why this meeting is very important. Now, as I have told you, Africa is an opportunity, and Kenya is the gateway. If you establish in Kenya, you do not just enter into one country. You enter into a continent. Through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, you invest and you enter into a market of 1.4 billion people with a GDP of $3.4 trillion. If you add EAC and COMESA, the European Union, and the United Kingdom, and Kenya's combined preferential market access exceeds $70 trillion. Why do I say so? You set up in Kenya, you not only access the African market, but because we have a signed economic partnership agreement with Europe, you equally access the European market. So there are opportunities left and right, front and center. And Kenya offers the rarest thing of all: secured permanent access to Europe under the European Economic Partnership Agreement in force since July 2024. And by the way, Kenya is the only East African Community member that have ratified it, and therefore every Kenyan product enters the European market duty-free and quota-free. That is the kind of certainty an investor needs to build a factory. And Belgium, home to the European institutions and the port of Antwerp, Brussels, is the door through which you reach the European market. And for your information, Kenya is ready for this role. Our economy is a 147 billion economy, the largest in East Africa. In 2025, foreign direct investments surpassed the $3 billion for the first time. The Nairobi Securities Exchange delivered one of Africa's strongest returns last year and remains fully open to foreign investors with unrestricted repatriation of capital and profits. We have structured roughly $40 billion of infrastructure for public-private partnerships. We also now have a one-stop investment center that is operational. Permits will be fully digitized by the end of this year. Exported services are zero-rated for VAT, and restrictive local equity requirements have already been removed. Of course, as you are aware, we are a very young connected nation, 55 million people, a median age of 20. 85% of adults are financially included. Mobile money flows above $300 billion a year, and fiber optic connectivity to every county in Kenya. The strongest endorsement of Kenya is not what government says. It is what investors do. Bio, as you've heard, has invested in Kenya for over 25 years and counts Kenya among its largest exposures. Odo, again, chose Nairobi as its African headquarters. Ruto serves East Africa from Kenyan plant. Sirona built its first commercial-scale direct air capture site at Lake Elementaita. Close the Gap has opened a circular IT hub in Nairobi. The direction of travel is very clear to all of us. Which way? Yet trade between Kenya and Belgium remains modest. And when I say Belgium, I mean with the European Union. About $335 million in 2024. That does not reflect our potential. So let us set a clear ambition to triple it towards $1 billion by 2030. That's just in 2 years. Because the opportunities are many, but let me expound on 4. First, agribusiness and agro-processing, because Kenya grows around 40% of Europe's cut flowers, is the world's largest exporter of black tea and a leading avocado exporter. The next phase for the people sitting around this table is value addition. Avocado, macadamia, horticulture, processed foods. I propose a Nairobi-Antwerp green produce corridor, a seamless cold chain from Kenyan farms to European shelves. Second is ports, logistics, and cold chain. The port of Mombasa handled record volumes in 2025. I invite the port of Antwerp and Belgium New Fruits Walk to form a sister port partnership with Kenya Ports Authority on beaver handling and pre-cooling to cut post-harvest losses and raise competitiveness. Third, technology and digital economy. With Belgium's world-leading semiconductor ecosystem and our young digitally native talent, we can build a Consa-Luban silicon bridge for cheap design skills. Odo launched its newest global platform from Nairobi, proof that world-class software is built in Kenya. We welcome partnerships in cloud, AI, and cybersecurity. Fourth, clean energy and the circular economy. More than 90% of Kenya's electricity is renewable, with geothermal alone accounting for almost 40%. I propose an Elementaita carbon removal cluster, scaling carbon removal on clean geothermal power, and we welcome Belgium leaders in recycling and urban mining to build a circular economy that creates jobs and creates opportunity. And here is the decisive advantage, the proof of everything I have said about partnership over extraction. Europe's carbon border adjustment mechanism is reshaping global manufacturing. A product made in Kenya on our clean geothermal grid enters Europe with a lower carbon cost and duty-free under our agreement. Few places on earth offer both at once. So I say to Belgian manufacturers, do not buy Africa's raw materials to add value elsewhere. Come and build with us. Process Kenyan minerals in Kenya and Africa on clean power and help Europe secure the supply chains it needs. Make it in Kenya, make it in Africa, make it clean, and sell in Europe and to the world. This is why, on the back of this roundtable, I will shortly officiate the launch of the Kenya-Benelux Chamber of Commerce, a permanent bridge between Kenyan enterprise and the markets, investors, and innovators of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. I challenge everyone in this room and every firm that will join the chamber to two goals: double the number of Benelux companies operating in Kenya and help deliver that $1 billion in trade by 2030. Let me conclude where I began. Africa is not a problem to be managed. It is an opportunity of this century. Kenya is your gateway to that opportunity, and this chamber is the door. Let us walk through it together as partners and equals, building value that benefits everyone. I thank you for your attention and open the floor to deliberations.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those wonderful remarks and for welcoming everybody for a short interactive session. With your permission, Your Excellency, I will ask a few of the chairman ladies here to say one or two words, then we can go to the general interaction. I will start, and please forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Sometimes we have that problem. We start with Rudy. Rudy is from the Belgium Family Office and Investment Networks. Then we will go to Christophe from TechSef. Then we will go to Torav.
I'm a Belgian board director of some families in Belgium, Mr. President. And I'm a financial expert. So I worked many years for, I know it's not so polite, it's even better to be a lawyer, but I'm a banker. Sorry for that. I was a banker, which is not always the best motivation to have in this time. And I like your words as broker, intermediate, and the gateway. So I would like to be one of them in the future. My families are very rich, and they are not so familiar with your country so far. So therefore I'm so pleased that I may here to know my colleagues, investors, and to develop some relationships to invest in the future in your country as well. I think we have a lot of expertise in the areas that you mentioned that we can help to collaborate together in the future and to learn about these countries. We are active in the country, Africa, but only in Senegal at the moment, and also in Laos and some other development countries. So Kenya is more the east side, I'm more on the west side. So this was fantastic that Olivier asked me to be here and that I could represent my families, which are very well known in Belgium, to develop in the future, and that I can advise them in the future to invest in Kenya as well. I thank you for your attention.
Very much.
Christophe.
thank you, Your Excellency, for welcoming words to Kenya. Texas is the only listed company in Belgium that is 100% devoted to Africa. For now,